afraid of the dark, are you? Don't be afraid. Come with me. Come with me. Come with me. Come with me. I know things no one knows.
The water had been up and then it came back down, and we was fishing it, and it's pretty weird. We were all set up out there fishing stuff, and I was looking to, I guess it'd be the west, and there was 3 lights up in the sky, and I was like, what the hell is that? And we were sitting there, and there was 3 lights up there, and then I started noticing there was little pebbles hitting the water right next to me, and it was probably about 10 feet away. And I hollered at him. I said, hey, dude, look at them lights up there. And I didn't say nothing about the rocks yet. And the one in the front, they started looking like they were moving to the north. And the one in the front would go out, and then another one would appear at the back of the line.
Hi guys, thank you all so much for joining me back here again on the 401 Files. We have literally just drove through the main barrier at the national park here in the UK, which is Dolby Forest, a notorious hotspot for strange reports of things like UFOs and extraterrestrials, weird cryptids, and even the paranormal. The reason I've arrived here so late, and I've left it so late in the evening, is to create or to disrupt my pattern, my routine, to create some kind of randomness, because 9 times out of 10, if an encounter is going to happen, it's because there was a change. Somebody did something different on a particular day. Maybe they turned up at the national park on a day they wouldn't usually go, at an hour they wouldn't usually attend. So for me, this is about creating randomness, creating disruption in my routine and making me unpredictable. Hopefully this will produce some really good results, but we won't know until we get out there and start to investigate. You guys kick back, please, relax and enjoy.
Welcome to Dolby Forest, a place that if explored after dark will send chills down your spine. Once the sun sets here, the woods of Dolby become transformed into this eerie landscape. The dense trees cast eerie shadows that seem to move with a life of their own. As you walk through the forest here, it's not uncommon for people to feel their heart begin to pound through their chest, as well as reporting an eerie sensation of unseen eyes watching their every move. This intensifying feeling of being surrounded by an unknown presence is all too common here. Legends and folklore weave through the fabric of Dolby Forest, adding to its spine-chilling reputation. Stories of ghostly apparitions and strange encounters have been shared by those who have ventured into the depths of these woods after dark. The tales of the supernatural have lingered here for centuries. Navigating through the forest at night can be a daunting task with limited visibility. With every step, it becomes a test of courage. The moonlight filters through the canopy, casting eerie shadows on the forest floor, making it difficult to distinguish between reality and imagination. As you walk deeper into the heart of Dolby, the feeling of isolation becomes more overwhelming, and the absence of human presence amplifies the sensation of being in a world completely of your own. Dolby Forest isn't a place for the faint of heart. It is a place where the woods hold secrets, where the darkness amplifies the human senses, and where the night, occasionally, reveals a side of nature that is both elusive and terrifying.
I've been walking through the woods now for about 20-30 minutes. About 5 minutes ago, there was a noise that sounded like metal on metal. Very unusual sound. It sounded like someone loading something up onto a dumper truck or something like that. I know that there is forestry work going on in the forest, but at 10 o'clock at night, definitely not. The rain seems to be calming down a little bit now, which is good. I do have my waterproof coat with me, but it's quite bulky, and you make a hell of a lot of noise walking through these areas wearing that coat, so I try and stick it in the top of my bag as much as possible. It's a weird thing that happens when you hear a noise in the woods, like a really strange noise. A few weeks back, I recorded that awful growl, that guttural moan that echoed through the forest. And I learned something from that experience, is that I always thought with my investigative mind, I would just jump straight to my phone and start recording. And I've always picked fault with people that don't do that. But you know what? Actually, in that moment, when I heard that noise, my first thought was to stand still and just absorb it in person, in real time, because I was thinking, if I get my phone and I start trying to record, I might miss what I'm actually hearing now in real time and not be able to decipher what the hell it was. And so getting my phone was kind of like an afterthought. Something that I never thought I would be guilty of, but yeah, I learned that about myself in that moment. To me, it just seemed the better of the two options, to try and figure out for myself before recording what the hell it was. And it was only once I'd stood there for a while listening and then heard it repeat itself numerous times, I thought, actually, I'm going to get the phone out and record this, because it's done it twice now. It's going to likely do it a third time and a fourth time. I'm not really going to miss much. What's really weird is that because there is a light drizzle and the humidity must be quite high, it's creating this vapour, this fog trail running right through the woods. And it almost gives it this eerie vibe. Lily's on the prowl, but she's close by, which is good. She's not wandering off too far. I just thought I'd check in with you guys in case that noise happened again. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have happened since, so if it does, I will try and be much quicker with my phone. But it was weird. Like I said, it was just a metal on metal grinding sound coming from quite high above. It wasn't in the forest at ground level, which tells me that either it travelled from a distance, like off in the distance, maybe a few miles away, maybe a noise was created that I've only just heard travelling through the air currents, or maybe it was just something in the air. Like I have no idea, but it was very odd. I've got this little head torch with me tonight, which is a bit annoying. I'm having to hold it because if I wear this on my head, you guys really can't see me that well. So that's kind of how I'm lighting up the area. I'm not sure what the battery life is going to be like on this, but that's a plane. Right, I'm going to start moving again. I don't want to stand still for too long. We've got a long night ahead of us, and I want to try and stay moving as much as possible. One of the difficult things that I find when investigating in these areas, when trying to follow up with people's encounters and chase down people's stories, retrace their steps, should we say, one of the hardest things that I find is that a lot of the times, these encounters, these stories that come forward, are very, very vague. Little to almost no details of the surrounding area. It's always usually about what they saw, what they experienced, how they felt. And unless there's buildings, unless there's some kind of landmarks that are distinct, lakes, mountains, it's hard to investigate more specifically, like a specific set location as to where this event actually took place. And yeah, that's the hardest thing that I find, is that the encounters are very, very vague and the area that it happened is very, very vast. Usually what comes back is that they were in the forested areas. You know, a lot of these people, they just wander off the beaten tracks. They have their experience a few meters or even a mile or two into the woods, and all they've got around them is trees. And so in a national park that is 99.9% made up of trees, How the hell do we know where to start looking? That is one of the biggest struggles I find. I'm just back at the car. And there's lots of, obviously you can imagine with the rain coming down quite hard, you've got all the dead leaves on the floor, on the forest floor. There's a lot of noises happening from all different directions, so it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to tune in and weed through what is normal and what is not. I guess everything is normal to some degree. It's only abnormal because we don't know what it is, but eventually, hopefully, given enough time, these things will be proven and understood. But does that make them any less normal? I mean, abnormal, sorry. I mean, the jellyfish is understood, but you cannot say that that thing is normal. It's bizarre. It's a weird feeling being on your own in the woods at night, especially when you're trying to remain logical, remain scientific, remain calm. But at the same time, you're not blind to the fact that strange things do happen here. It's a weird feeling where two sides of my personality are at war constantly. And if I let either one start to run away from me, and the balance tips in favour of either being too scared or not scared enough, could be quite a dangerous situation. Or lead to a dangerous situation, should I say. These mosquitoes are really brutal tonight. There is a well-known phenomena, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys watching this will have experienced this at some point in your life, where running can alter people's experience, because obviously your heart rate gets picked up, which creates chemicals to be released in the body, which send you on a high alertness, and we become like the ultimate tuned in predators of the wilderness. Our eyesight becomes sharper, our hearing becomes more acute. And the flip side to that is that we also believe events can happen when really they're not. They're just normal things that are explainable, but because we're in this heightened sense of alert, we can attribute a lot of noises and a lot of things that we see to strange phenomena. So what I'm going to do is put myself in that state. I'm going to self-induce this adrenaline rush, and I'm going to run through the forest while giving myself the affirmations that I'm being chased. And anyone that's done this, you will know how terrifying this is, because running through the forest is always going to make you feel like you're being chased. Telling yourself that you're being chased is going to make you even more scared. And then I'm going to sit there and I'm going to see what I experience. I'm going to see how this heightened sense of awareness influences what I hear and what I see. Don't try this at home. Obviously, running through the forest at night is not safe. But I'm just curious as to the psychology behind this. So, yeah. Let's scare ourselves, I guess, in the name of science. Chased. I'm being chased. Something's following me. Something's right behind me. I'm being chased. Something's right behind me. Something's following me. Good girl. Good girl. I'm okay. I'm okay. Good girl. I'm okay. That is just weird. Okay, so I definitely feel anxious. I feel terrified, I'm not going to lie. I feel really, really scared right now. And there's no reason for me to be scared. Nothing has happened really than say 20 minutes ago when I was stood here talking to you guys calmly. The only thing that's changed is that I became a madman running through the woods, giving myself affirmations that would enforce the fear. And I can honestly say that I'm really, really scared. I'm experiencing a real adrenaline rush of fear. Shadows are starting to look like faces and figures off in the forest. I'm also thinking that I'm seeing lights as well, which could be reflections of this torch I'm holding, bouncing off the telescopic phone tripod thing that I'm holding in my hand. It is metallic, so it could be little shards of light bouncing off that. I'm just giving myself a minute to calm down because I am actually freaked out a lot. I can feel my heart rate is beating through my chest. It would appear that we've got a lot of new cryptids arriving on the scene. And by recently, I mean the last decade. These other cryptids beyond Loch Ness, beyond Bigfoot, beyond the Mothman, etc., which are the classics. They are the classics, but there's other ones cropping up now. And things like the Glimmer Man, Not Deer, and Dogmen seem to be doing the rounds. If you're new to the phenomena of cryptids, if you're new to investigating these strange reports that people keep coming forward with, you might think that this is a new fad, it's a new phase, these are the new kids on the block, these Dogmen and Glimmer Men, and yeah, these are the new ones. But really, these creatures I've just mentioned, they hold historical ties that go back thousands of years. Like, you can trace these creatures back in ancient texts where people have written about them. And at that point you realise that the Dogman isn't a new phenomena. The Glimmer Man isn't a new phenomena. These creatures have been mentioned throughout time by many different generations of people, many different cultures. And sure, sometimes the names change. Sometimes one culture or one race of people will name Bigfoot different to, say, the white man, or some ancient tribe will mention the Dogman in a different context, but they're roughly describing the same thing. And yeah, it's fascinating when we think about that.
On the side of the road. It wasn't in the road, but it was like off the shoulder, probably about, 100 yards in front of me, just barely where my lights were hitting at the time. And there was a lot of movement, and I couldn't really tell what it was. I thought maybe it was a deer. I didn't think anything of it. I'm from California, so I didn't really think about slowing down. I just kind of was mesmerized by what I was looking at. And as I'm driving closer and closer, whatever it was noticed my car. I think it heard it. And my car is just loud. It makes a nice rumble and back pops and all this kind of stuff with the vehicle. It poked its head up, looked at me, and then just started coming towards me. And it started galloping. And I thought, that's really odd. I've never seen an animal just kind of come towards a moving vehicle. I've seen them go across the road and disappear, but never charge something. And it started picking up its speed. As I'm looking at it, I could tell that it was kind of like a dog-style animal, but it looked so much bigger than any dog I've ever seen in my life.